Nick Brana is with us. Nick is the founder and national director of the People's Party, a rapidly growing movement for a new progressive political party in America. Nick was formerly the national political outreach coordinator with Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign in 2016, and then became a founding member of the first electoral manager of our revolution. He's here for us right now, Nick Brana. Hi, Nick. How are you?
Hey, Jimmy. Good to see you.
Now, the reason why, Nick, I wanted you to come on today, and I appreciate you taking some time off from chopping wood. Nick, is that what you were doing? Because it looks. Could you put Nick back up for a second? Were you out there chopping wood, you fucking lumberjack? Where'd you get that shirt?
Before this.
Okay. All right. So here's why I wanted to bring him on. The Florida People's Party, they got on the ballot, right? So they got ballot. It's not easy to get ballot access, as we know. They make it really hard for third parties, especially if you don't have corporate funding. So the Florida People's Party, they got their ballot access. They're going to start a voter registration drive. That sounds like good for democracy, right? Wah, wah. Florida is the first state party to achieve ballot access and official party status with the People's Party. The People's Party is currently working to achieve ballot access in every state across the country, noting Florida as a milestone toward major new party free. Breaking, the People's Party got ballot access in Florida last fall, but the Republicans and the Democrats, the Democrats? It says Democrat right in their name. It's got democracy built in. But the Republicans and the Democrats are using an anti-third party law to bar the People's Party from running candidates anyways. We're suing Florida and the DeSantis administration to strike down the law. So let me bring in Nick Brana. Nick, first of all, what is the threshold that you had to meet to get on the ballot in Florida? Oh, this goddamn internet. What is the threshold you had to meet to get on the ballot in Florida, Nick?
So in Florida, it's easier than in other states. And we were able to simply organize as a party, form a party structure, form a state central committee and executive committee, organize in different parts of the state. Also, they have requirements around that. And that was able to get us on the ballot in Florida. But then, of course, what's happened is that they've still denied us ballot access anyways to run candidates.
And they're using this law, and the law states, correct me if I'm wrong, that if you haven't been affiliated with a party for over a year, 365 days or four, that you're not allowed to run in that party. Is that the law, or clarify for me?
Yeah, that's it. There's a law that states in Florida that has been struck down actually in two other states by the Supreme Courts of two other states, and that the Supreme Court of the United States has actually ruled against in the past, discriminatory laws like this. But Florida has this law on the books anyways. So we got ballot access last year in Florida. And the same year, the DeSantis administration extended the law to make it even more onerous on independents and third parties. And so that law is now being used, that one-year affiliation law, which has been ruled unconstitutional in the past in other states and nationally, is being used to prevent us from running candidates, to block us from running candidates.
And so, I mean, this is bipartisan. This is Democrats and Republicans come together to block third parties from being able to participate in democracy. And what does that do? That makes it that you are only allowed to choose people who have been sanctioned by the corporation. And because that's who runs the Democratic Party and that's who runs the Republican Party. It's run by military industrial complex, Wall Street, big pharma, fossil fuel companies, and big tech. That's who runs our government. That's who is our government, and that's who pre-selects our candidates. Why do you think we got Joe Biden? Because he was popular? We got Joe Biden because he was selected by Wall Street. That's what happens, and that's why we have Kamala Harris. Also, the two biggest tools of Wall Street in running last time, the two biggest ones were Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and those are the ones that we got as president and vice president. Not because they're popular or anybody wanted them; it's because they were pre-selected for you, and that is the result of when. That's why they need to keep Green Party, the People's Party, Libertarian Party. They're trying to keep all parties off the ballot. And they did, and the Democrats were doing it in Wisconsin last time, and no one says anything, especially nobody in the Democratic Party. Even Bernie Sanders doesn't say anything because Bernie's a pretend independent. He's a real Democrat. So what?
Right.
So now, what's the next step now?
Well, now we filed a motion to reconsider with the judge in the Middle District of Florida to reevaluate and allow our candidate onto the ballot. Our candidate, at least myself, who's a fantastic candidate who sought to run for county commissioner. And, you know, she speaks obviously for the people of that district, for the people of that county. The Republicans and Democrats that dominate the county board are all in the pockets of the real estate developers in Tampa Bay. And so, of course, the DeSantis administration is blocking us from being able to run both her or any candidate. Now that our motion to reconsider that denial of ballot access has been struck down, it's been upheld by the judge. We are appealing to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. And so that covers the states of Georgia and Florida. And that means that it's actually going to set precedent now for 3 different states that this rule could now be either upheld, it could be expanded, it could be used as a way of, you know, expanding the suppression of third parties, or they could strike this rule down in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. So there's more at stake now because essentially, if this rule is upheld, it's going to give the Democrats and Republicans a new tool to suppress third parties, to make it so that even if they do get ballot access, the Democrats and Republicans and the boards of elections can still prevent them from running candidates by having these affiliation rules. And there's nothing to say that it has to only be 364 days.
It doesn't have to be 365 days.
Right. It could be even longer than that. They could, if this rule is upheld, it's going to set a new precedent that gives the Democrats and Republicans an even more powerful tool to suppress third parties than they have ever had before. If they could extend that rule to say, you know, for example, a candidate has to, okay, you could get ballot access as a new party in a state, but then your candidate has to have been affiliated, you know, perhaps not just for 1 year, but for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And so essentially it's a way of shutting down third parties. It's a new tool that they haven't had before. So there's a lot more at stake now that this is going to set precedent for multiple states, and perhaps even beyond the 11th Circuit Court as well.
Well, this is how it starts. They try to kick you off the ballot. They try to make you file lawsuits. They try to tie you up in court. They challenge every signature. This is what they did to Ralph Nader. This is what they do to anybody who they fear might be attractive to a voter. This is what when I say they, I mean the Republicans and the Democrats. And who are they working for? They're both working for the same people, the military-industrial complex and Wall Street, and Big Pharma, and they're doing it. And so that they want a real clean democracy, meaning they want 2 parties that are easily controlled and easily to fool the populace into thinking that they're actually fighting each other when they're not. Right now, Joe Biden is appointing 3 of the biggest right-wing judges around. He's actually appointing a judge that Trump couldn't get through. Biden's going to get him through. That's how much and I was told I had to vote for Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden because of judges. That's hilarious. Anyway, so well, good luck, and this is what happens to you. And then I'm sure there'll be a hashtag Me Too come at you too. Do they still do that after Joe Biden? Does that still happen after Joe Biden?
Doesn't seem like it.
Anyway, so that'll happen. That's what they do. Except they couldn't do it to Ralph Nader. Nobody would have believed it for a second. But anyway, you did have some, right, Nick? Now you made a video recently. You tell me.
They have. They've tried that. I mean, they've tried all kinds of things against me and the People's Party. And yes, we made a video responding to those accusations against me.
Oh, okay. There's a video.
It's on our YouTube. Anyone who wants to see it can go see it.
Okay.
But when you look at the people who are under the most attack in this country.
Oh, he's freezing. Goddamn internet.
When you look at the people that are most under attack in this country.
Yeah, I was Jackson Hinkle. He's being deplatformed left and right. You're being attacked constantly. Max Blumenthal,
Aaron Mate, Glenn Greenwald, Matt Taibbi. We could go down the list.
What do these people have in common?
Chris Hedges.
Chris Hedges. These people are actually working to bring together left and right, because that threatens the establishment the most. And so those people are the people who, like the antibodies of the establishment, try to destroy those people the most. And I think that's what we're seeing with everybody.
Well, I'm always suspicious of people who spend months and months and over a year to try to undermine the efforts of a third party that has no money and no power at all. It's immediately suspicious when people spend making it their career to try to undermine an organization that has no money and no power. You have less money and power than the Boy Scouts, and they're trying to go. So that's what happens, right? So that the establishment wants to undermine, and they try to divide, and they infiltrate. I mean, there were infiltrators in Bernie Sanders' campaign the first time. We covered it on our show. I mean, legit infiltrators, like from the intelligence community, that kind of stuff. So, so that's what they do, and they try to squash it before it has a chance to grow. This is one way. They try to get you kicked off the ballot, and they use obscure laws and all kinds of crazy stuff. And, there's lots of, and another way is to try to infiltrate, undermine, create division. You know how it goes. It's the same thing. And
exactly.
So, well, good luck. Good luck with this. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot more shit coming your way. Come see our stand-up comedy. We'll be in Los Angeles, Bakersfield, Indianapolis, Louisville, Cincinnati, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Detroit, lots more. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets.